Good morning, good morning, good morning, all. My name is Anthony Carter, coming to you live from Long Beach, California, with another edition of Visionaries and Truth Tellers. As you know, I'm always looking for great people who are moving the planet, and humanity forward. My guest today is Miss Lisa Smith, who is somebody I have been Twitter stalking and emailing for months trying to get her on the show. She was the last piece of my missing puzzle for this new film that I'm working on. And she's from Detroit. I'm from Detroit. You are from Detroit, right? Or you just moved there?
I know, I'm from Detroit.
Okay. So we're both from Detroit. So I saw that. I said, okay, there's a connection there. So without further ado, I bring to you Miss Lisa Smith. Give the folks your 30-second bio.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Hey, folks. I'm Lisa A. Smith. I am a certified plant-based nutritionist, and full-time, I teach how to use food as medicine to prevent chronic health challenges. I am the executive director of a nonprofit called the Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group. I'm the founder of a company called the Black Health Academy. I am the creator of a signature coaching program called Farm to Table, the author of the Plant-Based Foodie. And so essentially all I do is slang plants every day, all day.
I
Teach
like
people how to eat to live.
Okay, sling plants. I like that. You gotta put that, you gotta copyright that. That's a good one. You should put that on the website. Okay, I like it. What are you super excited about these days? What really gets you
Oh,
going?
yeah, so I'm just super excited about the work we're doing at the Black Health Academy. We're introducing this summer our plant-based certification called the Other 23, which essentially means anyone can work out for an hour a day, but it's what you do for the other 23 hours that has the biggest impact on your
Ooh,
health. And
okay.
so I am finally launching my plant-based certification where I will be certifying mostly people of color in the field of plant-based nutrition so that we can extend the life expectancy of the culture. So I'm super
Okay.
excited about that right now, Anthony.
Wow, that I'm excited. That the other 23, I was like, what is that? I like that. That is really great. Let's talk a little bit about tell me about the very first job you ever had.
Okay, so the very first job was in retail. I believe it was at a store that you may have heard of back in the day called Kmart. Um, and so, yeah, I worked in retail, and that was my very first job. I don't remember much about it, except that I knew it wasn't going to be my career.
Okay, okay, very good. I want to ask you about your plant-based journey. I'll get to that in a minute, but I want to talk to you about well, I can jump to that now. What was the event that caused you? Everybody had something that a switch clicked, right? And they decided, I want to do this differently. I had one, a big wake-up call last year, and I was like, I'm not doing it this way. My mother had one. What was yours?
Well, I had a flip that switched with regard to getting healthy in general, which was I walked past a mirror one too many times. And so my my catapult into the health and wellness space started like with most people from vanity. I was just insecure in my body, suffering from a little body dysmorphia, being
Mm-hmm.
overweight. So I started on my health and wellness journey in 2012, hiring a personal trainer, and I began to clean up my diet at that time and definitely work out at a high level, high intensity, and I've managed over time to lose 65 pounds. But I didn't actually become a plant based vegan until I started my career as a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And that came about just simply from research and education. So I'm working out these individuals and they're getting results, but not quite, at a high level. And we knew that nutrition was the missing component. And of course, a trainer can tell someone, don't eat junk food, drink water, all of the basics.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wanted to understand nutrition at a deeper level. What's not only going to make the weight come down, but it actually going to prevent disease in the future, right? Because you can
Mm-hmm.
eat one way to lose weight, but you can also eat another way to both lose weight and prevent chronic disease. And those can be two very different ways of eating. And so just studying nutrition led me to discover that a whole food plant-based diet is the most optimal diet on the planet for longevity. And that was so important to me, because learning that, the top causes of death, especially in the Black community, heart disease, cancer, and stroke, can all mostly be prevented from lifestyle modification, was a game changer, because essentially we're dying from things that are preventable. We're not dying from
Hmm.
things that we had no control over.
Hmm.
And so that catapulted my journey into learning more about plant-based nutrition. So inevitably, completely I like to say I retired from personal training and moved into the plant-based nutrition space. So now full time, I teach plant-based nutrition. And I started with myself, just understanding how eating this way can impact not just the body, but the brain. And after I got those receipts, after I got those results, I said, oh, I want to share this with the world. I want to show other people how to do this at a high level. And this is not just becoming vegan. It's not just a matter of just removing animal products. It's a matter of intentionally eating the healing medicinal properties of the plants and the whole grain. So not processed
Hmm.
vegan junk food, that doesn't extend life. I'm talking about the plants. And so our hashtag at the Black Health Academy is plants every damn day, because that's like taking a multivitamin every day,
Hmm.
eating our plants. So that was my move into this space, and I haven't looked back.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna switch gears. Like, I'm gonna stick with this because I had a plan and everything, but this, I think, this is super important. This information that you're giving, it's very digestible. I think anybody, whoever comes in the video, can grab it and grab something from it and use it. I want to ask you about. You said something about like the other 23.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit more. I'm really fascinated with that. The other 23.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the name of our certification at the Black Health Academy will be the Other 23 Plant-Based and Coaching Certification. Well, I
Hmm.
will be certifying individuals in specifically plant-based nutrition, as well as my signature methodology for coaching. But essentially, the Other 23 is all about, what you do after that workout. And that's more than even what you eat, right? So what most people don't understand is that the number one indicator of a long life and longevity is not diet and exercise or your DNA. It's actually your social connections. And so
Hmm.
your intimacy and connections with other humans, your relationships in your life essentially has the biggest impact on your health overall. And so I want to teach individuals, specifically people in the health coaching space, or who are in the helping space, like social workers or mental health professionals, or nurses, doctors. I want to teach them how to utilize different disciplines in the health space to extend the life expectancy of their clients and patients, right? In the mental health space, we talk a lot about medications and all that, but just changing someone's diet can eradicate a lot of mental health issues, right? Violence, disposition, all of that is linked to our food and our relationships. And so I want to make sure people understand the importance of, it's not just what you do in the kitchen, it's not just what you do in the gym, but it's what's happening in every area of your life. This is a big one. Are you in alignment? Are you waking up every day and doing what you were called to do? Because if you're spending 40 plus hours of your week in misery, you have to know that literally impacts your immune system, that literally impacts your weight, that impacts
Hmm.
everything. So let's get people in alignment, right? Let's create an exit strategy to get out of that unhealthy relationship. Let's create an exit strategy to get out of that unhealthy job or profession that no longer serves you. And let's really work toward getting in complete alignment, repairing relationships, and then we will begin to repair the body and the mind. And so the Other 23 is really about making sure every discipline in the health space is being paid attention to, and not just diet and exercise, even though we're going to focus heavily on plant-based nutrition, because we can't vibrate on a higher frequency unless we clear out all the fog below. So nutrition first, and then that will open up all those other levels of health that are available to
Okay, well, I'm done. We
us.
we're complete. Preach. We are complete. No, that was real. That was that's it, and that's everything. That's the other 23. Because I think people think they can exercise or whatever, but it's kind of like you're talking about like a holistic approach. So it's
Yeah.
not one. It's not an either or. It's like it's a combination of, like you said, you can be healthy and do those other stuff, but if you're going to a job that you hate, or you're going to a job that just doesn't, like, and even one of the things that I'm learning, and I heard your podcast a while ago, and you were talking to somebody on a Saturday, and I was so blown away. I had to turn off and call my mother because you were talking to a lady, and you said something about, and I'm paraphrasing, either you're changing or choosing, and I thought, ooh. And I put it on pause, and I called my mother in Michigan, and I said, "Have you heard this?" And I said, she said, "Oh yeah, I haven't." Either she had heard that podcast, or she hadn't gotten to it. I said, "Well, whatever you're doing, stop and pull up that podcast and when you get to this point, call me back." I said, "Wait till she says it." And it's true. It's very true. What are you're choosing things and you're changing them. And I think one of the things that I'm finding as I get older is that many times it's easy to walk away from something that's bad or negative or toxic, right? Because you have all the reasons in the world to do it. And you have people around like, oh, yeah, that's a bad situation or a bad relationship or a bad job. To me, it's harder to walk away from things that aren't necessarily bad, right? That are, from the outside looking in, like that looks great to me. Why would you walk away from that? And what I've learned particularly over the last 10 years in my life, is I've had to walk away from things that were really good or that were really good. And I got to a point where like, okay, well, I want great. I don't want good anymore. How do I walk away from this? Because, people are like, why are you doing that? And I was like, it's time to go. Like, I can't explain it, but it's time to go. So I'm so glad that you said that and that they're putting that's the message that you're putting out in the world. Because I think many times they call them what do they call them? The gold handcuffs, silver handcuffs.
Uh-huh.
You get in situations where you're like, oh, well, I got a mortgage, I got this, I really want to do this over here,
Mhm.
right? My gut is telling me every morning when I get up, I should be doing this over here,
Yeah.
but this isn't too bad. So I'm so glad that you said that. Okay, moving right along. This is some good stuff. I'm gonna throw out one or two questions for you. Then I'm gonna come back to the plant-based eating. So, very quickly, switching gears.
Okay.
Oh, this is perfect. I have your cookbook too, by the way.
Hey.
Because your mother, my mother called me. We were talking on the phone about you. And while she was talking, when she first told me about you, I pulled it up and ordered it. And it
Nice.
came in the mail. So I'm going to work through that cookbook and get, there's some great recipes. So with that said, we will promote your cookbook on this podcast as well as in the movie. We'll hold it up or something. What is your signature dish?
Oh, so hands down, my favorite is the quinoa meat tacos. So,
Mm,
tacos are like a love for many of us, right? Because they're so diverse. You can fill them with so many different types of things.
hmm
They're amazing. And so, going plant-based, discovering how to recreate taco night, which includes everything from, loaded nachos to tostadas, all of that, whatever, the
hmm
whole shebang. Discovering the quinoa taco meat, that was a game
Mm,
changer for me. So, it's literally quinoa, and then you meaty it up by adding nutritional yeast, black beans, salsa, tomatoes and peppers and all of those things. Then you roast it in the oven. That's what thickens it up. And you scoop it into a taco or sprinkle it on top of making some nachos or something. And it's so delicious. So I love the quinoa taco meat. And I think my second favorite in the recipe book will be my chickpea tuna, because
okay.
it travels well. You're not cooking anything if you decide to buy the chickpeas pre-made. So it's literally like making tuna. You chop up your red onion or your celery or whatever. You have your plant-based mayo, your mustard. You eat it with crackers on a piece of bread. Have a tuna sandwich. Just eat it by itself. So those are probably my top two favorites in my recipe book.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, my mother is obsessed with that chickpea tuna. She every time I talk to her, she brings it up. She's like, "Have you tried it yet?" I'm like, "No, this is the same thing." Last week she was telling me about the edamame pasta.
Mm,
She mentioned that on the call when I was talking to her last week, and I was like, "Oh, what? I didn't know you could do that." I said, "But I guess you can." So she said, "Yeah." She said the edamame pasta is. I was like, "Wow, I'm gonna look out for that." Because I
yeah,
can go to I'm sure Whole Foods has it or somebody here in California has it.
absolutely.
Okay,
Easy to
okay, very good, very good. Okay, um, let's talk about your last meal. If today
find.
was your last on the planet, what would your last meal consist of?
That is such a fun question that I've never been asked before, Anthony. Hmm. My favorite food is French fries. Okay, let's just call a thing a thing, okay? And so my final meal would probably be French fries. So I no longer, so I roast them now because, at the Black Health Academy and at Farm to Table, we promote a low to no SOS diet, salt, oil, and sugar. So
Hmm.
I don't want anything deep fried and all of that. So I
Hmm.
roast my fries now or air fry them. And I
I
would
got two air
still,
fryers. I have
yes,
two in my house.
yes. So even on, my last couple of breaths, I would still adhere to my core values with regard to diet. And so I would definitely still do some baked roasted French fries, a good dipping sauce, French fries with the skin on, you know what I mean, from organic
Mm.
potatoes. That makes a difference as well. And so I don't even know if that's a meal, but that would be my
That's what that would probably be. Mine used, if somebody had asked me that years ago, it would have been something with red velvet. But now I think now that I've like gotten away from so much of that, it's like, yeah, it would probably be something, definitely something that's in the air fryer because like I use the air fryer probably every day. I'm put because
wow.
I put I the other night I chopped up some Brussels sprouts and some carrots
Mm.
and I tossed in a little olive oil and this seasoning that doesn't have any salt in it, and I let it marinate for like 5 or 10 minutes. Put it in the air fryer for 10 minutes, and I was like, "This is heavenly." And I know
Simple.
that I've changed my taste buds because I crave that now. Like I'll say, "Oh,
Yes.
look, I'm trying to get my grandkids to get excited. Like, yeah, who wants some, Brussels sprouts?" They're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah,
Like I'm
good
not
luck with
taking you to
that.
McDonald's, so that's out.
Exactly, exactly.
So yeah, okay, good. So what flavor tea is that you got?
So this is a green ginger with some
Okay.
fresh ginger in it. So I like herbal tea.
Hmm.
I got rid of caffeine a while ago, so I do herbal teas.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
like it. Anything with ginger makes everything better.
Oh my God, it totally does. It makes you feel like you're doing something right in your life that day. So my health is on point today. Absolutely.
I put it in my smoothies because I have a
Yeah, for
big garden
sure.
in the front, and the lady next door has a big garden, and I put sorrel in there, and she has kale, fresh kale, so I'll go get a couple of chunks of that, put it in the smoothie along with the ginger and the flaxseed oil, the ground
Yeah,
flaxseed oil. Every once in a while, I'll put a little oil of oregano drops in there just to, last time I had one was turmeric. I opened the pills and put them in. So yeah, we're trying, we're getting there.
I love
We're,
it. I love it. Plants every damn day. Keep it up.
yes, because I need 50 more years to get right. There's some things I want to do, and I need another 50 years to, you know.
I said the exact same thing on my Facebook Live the other day, Anthony. I said the reason I have to eat this way is because my mission on this planet is to extend the life expectancy of people of color. And I'm going to need to be here till about 150 years old in order to do that. And so I have to eat for the goals I plan to achieve. You know what I mean? So, like you said, I plan to make a major splash, a big impact. And that's going to require me to be not only here, but be sharp. You know what I mean?
Thank
So,
you. Thank you. I watched a segment last week on 60 Minutes, and it's all about people who had lived into their 90s and beyond. And a
mhm.
couple of people were like 102. There was somebody and they were saying the same thing about they would test them, like, hey, they would have them call in and do these tests, like, what day of the week is it? Who's the president? And it was the interesting issue. They were talking about what keeps you sharp as you get older because
Mhm.
there was some guy who was like 90, I think he was like 97, 90. He was driving, he had a convertible. He had a Volkswagen. I was like, where is he going? He was just too, I said, good. I said, he got out, he was walking, the other lady was walking. So yeah, I mean, it can be done. But I
Yeah.
think I have, as they say, a calling on my life. So it's taken me 50 years to figure out, like, I've had bits and pieces of it over the years, and now it's kind of like all congealing in a way. It's like, okay, now I know exactly what I'm
Yes.
supposed to be doing. And I'm
Yes.
going to need 50 years, not only to do it, but like you say, to stay sharp and to get other people, because I can't do it by myself.
That's
So
it.
yeah. So, okay, we got to go. Okay, let's get a few more questions. Let you get out of here to get on with
Okay.
your day. Um, What relationship, real or fictionalized,
Mhm.
epitomizes love to you?
What I mean, Anthony, these questions, uh, they're so juicy. What relationship, real or fictionalized? Weirdly and oddly, the first thing that comes to mind is the Lion King with, the dad and his son.
Mhm.
Um, because, you know, sacrifice for the people you love. And it's interesting because you're willing to sacrifice, but I think, true love is never putting somebody in a position to have to sacrifice, but the willingness to do so. But then also, a level of selflessness in a relationship, where it's almost impossible. And me and my partner are kind of like this, like we're always trying to out please the other person,
Mhm.
like, no, what do you want? No, what do you want? No, let me do this for you. No, and I just like the selflessness um is epitomizes love to me, and it's not, and also the courtesy you give the other person in any type of relationship, whether it be
Mhm.
familial or romantic or whatever, but giving the other person the space to be completely who they are, and recognizing that they were someone before you entered their
Mhm.
life, and they are still allowed to be that person. They're still allowed to have their likes, their dislikes, their preferences. Everything doesn't have to be done with you, by you. They should not be, come be your go-to for everything, right? And so just kind of a relationship that's mutually beneficial and symbiotic in that way. And that we are two very distinct and different, unique individuals who have made a choice and continue to make a choice on a daily basis, to be in one another's lives. And because we continue to make that choice, we're committed to adding value. And that to me is a healthy relationship, no matter what, whether it's a professional, personal, family. I remember talking to my therapist about this some time ago, over a year ago, and saying, my mission right now in the season I was in at that time, I was like, is to make sure every relationship in my life is optimal. And I remember sending a text message to two of my close friends, like, do you think, like, what areas of my personality or anything would you improve, would you change, what do you see that I don't see that I need to work on? And they're like, what are you talking about? And it's just really about pouring into every relationship and make sure I'm adding value. And so that value add and the permission to be fully who you are, without any, judgment or fear of judgment. And then that selflessness and that sacrifice.
Okay, I like it. What you brought it up, so I want to hop on it. What quality do you least like about yourself?
What quality do I least like about myself? It's probably my ability to try and always help people or teach people something, as opposed to just listening and understanding when it's time for that and when it's not. So
Mm.
I'm always trying to solve a problem, right? If someone tells me something, I see it, I interpret it as a problem or a challenge that needs to be resolved, and just recognizing that that's not always the case. And so that is something that I really, really try and work hard on. It's something that I'm presently have to be conscious with on a daily basis these days. Because I'm a teacher and a coach for a living, I jump into teacher and coach mode in almost every relationship. And something like my sister, like, Lisa, I don't want to hear all that. I'm like, right, right, right. You know what I'm saying? So knowing, just when to fall back and, chill out. I think that's my least favorite. And I'm always over analyzing. I shouldn't have said that. I should have said that. I critique every speaking engagement I do. I'm going to do it for this interview when it's over. Like, oh, I should, it's just so, just hyper critiqueness. Because I'm so public, I do so much speaking and teaching and
Mhm.
coaching. I've, in the last year or so, have become really hyper critical of myself, and it wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, right? And so and my therapist said it's because you are in the public so much that you criticize yourself so much because they're seeing you, and so you don't have the courtesy of going through these struggles privately. You feel like they see your flaws, and so just being conscious of that and
Mhm.
working on that, and trying to get back to sleep and realize that you're the only one thinking about this. Ain't nobody else caring
Right.
about what
Everybody
happened
else
around.
is asleep.
Right. This is a you problem, not a them problem. So yes, that would probably be it.
Okay. Okay. Very good. What question would you most like answered?
Why in every single arena, whether it be health, finance, baking, criminal justice, are people of color still marginalized? Um,
Mhm.
in every single area, healthcare, finance, education, whatever it is. Why are we still marginalized and still, you know, um, not valued and undervalued? I think, and I don't think it's a question that can be answered easily. I don't think it's a question that can be answered. Well, we know the basics, right? We know the rudimentary, of white supremacy, but um, I just wish it just hurts me to see it and experience it on a regular basis. And can we find another planet to live on? Like, how can we resolve this? Like, that's the resolution in it, and that's why I've committed my life, it's specifically in the health space, to helping empower us by giving us the knowledge so that we can be our own advocates. But just why do we have to work so hard for so little? Um, it just saddens me.
Okay. Um, let me switch gears.
Okay.
Where or when in your life have you been the happiest?
Mm, presently, I'm the happiest in this moment. I'm very, very, very tuned into emotional intelligence, and I do a lot of personal development.
Mhm.
And so I'm extremely happy in all of my relationships and my career and my personal health. I feel absolutely amazing. So I say this space and time is when I'm actually the happiest, and that's the absolute truth.
Okay. What person, place, or thing most affected you?
My father leaving when I was in elementary school.
Hmm.
Him and my mom were married, they divorced, and they did co-parenting for a while. He would come pick me up, I would go to his house, visits, they did co-parenting. And then as far as my memory can recall, it just stopped one day. And to this day, I've never seen or heard from him again. And so I tried looking for him a year or two ago, but that has affected me the most, the abandonment. And so, because of it, I developed kind of this I'm not enough syndrome, but kind of what you spoke to earlier about it's infinitely harder to stop doing something that doesn't look bad on the outside.
Hmm.
So, when some people deal with this I'm not enough syndrome with, maybe sex or drugs or shopping, whatever, I dealt with it with accomplishments. And
Hmm.
so I'm constantly going to school. I'm constantly getting degrees. I'm starting companies. Like, my resume is beautiful. Nobody knows that I'm doing it from a place of hurt. Like, maybe if I do accomplish one more thing, I will be enough. Maybe I would have been enough for my dad to love me or to stay or whatever the story is I made up in my mind. And so that's essentially why I started going to therapy a couple years ago, which I've since concluded after 2 years. And, but I think that has definitely, no doubt about it, had the biggest impact on me.
Okay. Okay. So if you, what would you tell humanity?
So, what would I tell humanity? The one question you want to ask yourself on a yearly, quarterly, daily basis is, why is the world a better place because I'm in it?
Mm.
Absolutely, 100%. The only reason we're here is to serve, period.
Okay.
Right? And so, how do you know if you're out of alignment? You're not serving.
Ooh.
Um, and so,
Can you say that again?
yes. How do you know you're out of alignment? You're not serving. And every day I strive to ensure, every space that I take up, every interaction I have, I leave people better and I leave places better, than I found them. Kind of going back to my tendency to want to coach, help, and solve a problem everywhere I go, right? So I'm trying to find that messy middle right now. But why is the world a better place? Because you're in it. Why was the world a better place? Because you were here. I remember Les Brown quoting Horace Mann, who said, "You should be ashamed to die if you have not made a significant contribution to mankind." And I live by that. I live by that. So, what is your contribution to mankind? Everyone serves a purpose. And so, figure out what your gifts, talents are, and how they intersect to align with your purpose, and leave this place a better place than you found it.
Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. Final question. What question didn't I ask that you wish I had asked you, and how would you answer it?
Um, Question that you didn't ask will probably be something like, what can I start doing today to, begin to turn my health around? Um,
Mm,
and somewhere in the lines of for me, like going back to what I've said 3 times now, I think it would have been a helping question, right? Like it would have been something. I want to be asked questions about getting people unstuck, right? And so how I would have answered would have been the absolute first thing you need in order to reverse any chronic health challenge, any limiting belief system, is the belief that what you're seeking, wholeness, healness, happiness, is available to you.
mhm,
So we don't need to start with water. We don't need to start with plants. We don't need to start with exercise. We don't even start with therapy. You need to understand that getting rid of the diabetes, getting rid of the obesity, getting rid of the depression, is available to you. Getting rid of the debt is available to you. Waking up every day and doing what you love without having to sacrifice your mortgage, your income, your
mhm,
quality of life is available to you. So most people don't pursue the things that they desire because they have a limiting belief system that this is not available to me. And the
mhm,
reason Lisa or Anthony was able to do it is because they're extraordinary. And so don't make us extraordinary to let yourself off the hook, right? And
mm,
so please, please, please know that what you're seeking is fully available to you,
mhm,
fully available to you, whether it be love, whether it be freedom, whether, what, debt free, just disease free, it's available to you. So when the belief system is embedded in the subconscious, the behaviors, the habits will follow. The investment in the tools and strategies needed to get you there will follow. But it starts with a belief that this is available to me.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get you out of here. You said 45 minutes, and we're cutting it close to about 37. So
Yeah.
this has been the I'm so glad that um, my mom connected with you, and she found you through my sister. So my mom started so yeah, so I'm so glad that my mom found you, that she, connected with what you were doing. You were the answer to some of my prayers, because I can talk about my situation where a year ago, I went to the doctor, and that's when it was kind of like, I went to the doctor a year ago. They told me that oh, your blood pressure is really high. And I didn't know this. I was like, really? And they were like, I said, well, I don't want to go on medication. And they're like, no, you have to. So they're like, oh, well, you're like super close to a stroke. And I was like, I am. So they put me on this medication. And then everybody that I talked to about it had the same response, which was, what's the big deal? You're Black, you're male, you're in your 50s. This is just the way that it is, right? And the part that really got me was that most people were saying, and this is probably something that should have happened 10 years ago. Like, you're about 10 years away from, and I was like, this people in their 40s are doing this. So then I thought about it. The more I thought about it, the more pissed off I became. And the
Yeah.
more I thought about it, the being pissed off became, I don't want to be a statistic. I want to do something different. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do something different. I don't believe I that somebody just hands me this and this is just the way that it is. Like you said about a belief system, right? It was just like, no, I don't think I want to do it this way. And right when I started making that decision, that's when my mother, she started talking to me about you, right? And then I decided in last summer, remember COVID, I decided in August, I was like, okay, September 1, I'm gonna go plant-based. So no meat, no dairy, no, and I'm gonna try for 30 days to see how I feel. And now it's been almost a year. So I took it, I started doing it, and I started feeling different, and I started sleeping through the whole night. I mean, and it's kind of, there's still stuff I'm going to work on. Like I still got to, leave the chips alone.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I'm like you said, I eat vegetables every day. I can tell when I need some, when I haven't had enough for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm living on cauliflower. You can do a whole lot with cauliflower.
You can
Yeah,
too much.
so cauliflower. So yeah, that's what started my journey. It was just like I don't want to do it this way. And then
Yeah.
everybody that I talked to, I started watching the film What the Health and a couple of other films, and I was like, I can actually do this differently,
Yeah.
right? It's not just that you're old. That's just the way it is. And I was like, no, I've got things I want to do,
Yes.
and I got to have this together, and and all of this together. So
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you for
Thank
doing
you.
the work that you're doing. Know that it is working and is reaching people, and it's going to have this it has this global reach. And keep going. If you ever need me for anything, do not hesitate to call. At some point, I'm gonna get into your Tuesday class. I need to figure that out because I
Yeah.
work that time. Because I know you do
Okay.
a Tuesday class at 4, and every time it comes around, I start filling out the application, and I call my mother, and she's like, "Are you gonna do it?" I was like, "Well, I said I got to figure out this work situation on Tuesdays,
Yeah. Well,
but I'm gonna determine to figure it out.
well,
I'm gonna
no,
make
don't.
it
Well, that's a
right."
common deterrent for a lot of people, especially on the West Coast. And so, actually, the next farm to table semester that we're doing this fall will be on a different day. We're playing around with the weekend and a different time
Mm-hmm,
for that exact same reason, just different time zones.
mm-hmm.
So, just keep watching your email. But I'm 100% sure that the next class won't be on a Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So
Okay.
hopefully next time that we pick works for you. And I just have to say, Anthony, thank you so much for taking, that diagnosis of high blood pressure and making a decision that regardless of what you've been told, that this will not
Mm-hmm,
only be your story, but then you will literally do the work to make sure that people know what else is available to them.
mm-hmm.
I really, really appreciate you being a leader in that space. And hopefully, in our generation, we can get to a point where you deciding to choose lifestyle modifications it's not the exception. It's not, you're
Mm-hmm.
not an outlier, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
that it becomes the norm as opposed to medications and like you said, the even worst of it all, it's just in your genetic material because of your race, because of this. And so thank you for beginning to unravel that limiting falsity for so many people and going public with it, because that's what they need to understand. Because unfortunately, it is so common. We just say, okay, well, what's the med? It's not something that we are in fear of, like cancer, right? It's just
Right.
like everybody has high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes or high
Mm-hmm.
cholesterol. And so, it's been so normalized that we don't take radical action to eradicate it. And that's problematic. So I really appreciate you for choosing, the road less traveled.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we're gonna try some new traditions. That's my mantra. We're gonna do it differently. We're gonna try some new traditions.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, Miss Smith, it has been a pleasure. I
Likewise.
know that everything is gonna move in a different direction now because you were the last person. There are two people I needed to talk to complete this film, and you were one of the two. And I was telling my editor and co-director, and co-producer, I said, there's two more people and one of my meeting tomorrow. And I said, we can start editing this week for this film and this project. No, and I'm super excited about what you're doing and what I'm doing. And I'm scared, I'm thrilled, and I'm doing this film. And I know people are going to say, well, why, I can already hear it. And I was journaling about that this morning. I was like, that's what, as a young kid say, that's what the haters do. That's their job. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Haters don't hate.
Just
Yes,
keep going. Just breathe and keep going. Like, because
that's
you're gonna
right.
get this. And I was
Yes,
telling myself, I was giving myself a pep talk this morning about that. I was like, that's what's gonna happen. That's what always happens. And you step out of something that people are, and I have to get to. That's a thing that I'm gonna work on. I have to get to the point where I just know that's gonna happen, and I'm okay with it. Like I'm kind of like,
yeah,
okay, I know this is gonna happen. I'm gonna keep going.
yeah,
So when it happens, not to be shocked and like derailed by it. It's like, yeah,
yeah.
okay. It's like, okay, this is what they
Absolutely.
do.
If there's no critique, you're not being bold enough. You're still holding back. Just know that if there's no critique, it's a problem on your end. If everybody is accepting it, you done made it too acceptable. You need to be polarizing in your work. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's how you make significant impact. You got to disrupt the norm. You have to disrupt your space. If you're not causing disruption and everyone's just, liking and sharing, the problem. So you can get your haters. You hear me? You go get them haters.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great Saturday. I will let you know when the film and this podcast comes out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony. Take care.
Bye bye.